Shalom. Call Yahweh by Shem Yahushua. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushua. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushua. All praises to the Most High. Call Yahweh by Shem Yahushua is being interpreted. All praises to Yahweh by Shem Yahushua. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushua is being interpreted. Bless you, Yahweh, bless you, Yahushua. All glory and honor to the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the Alpha, the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the ending. Call Yahweh by Shema Mashak Yahushua. Peace and blessings to the saints, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the Israelites that are scattered across the four corners of the earth. Peace and blessings to you. Happy New Year, happy new moon. Peace and blessings to the leaders and the elders in the nation. Lord willing, you enduring and holding firm and fast onto your faith and all of the things that the Lord has blessed and bestowed upon you in these last days, while increasing, while forsaking the flesh and the cares of this world, praying and doing all the things that requires us to patiently wait and build ourselves up while we're waiting on the Lord. Peace and blessings to each and everybody. Lord willing, you enduring. So I believe I titled this, The Most High Ain't Nothing to Play With. Purge or be purged. New year and new moon. So we understand, according to the ancient, calendar that the Most High has created, following to the best of our ability, the first month, the first year. So like the first month of the year, according to Nisan, and Lord willing, we'll be able to go into it. But we got to move different than the world, because that's what the Lord requires of the Israelites, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And they say the new year is January the 1st, which we're going to talk about it. But nevertheless, we are approaching the time of Passover, so we have to purge out this leaven. We have to get this leaven out of our bodies, and we have to be able to examine ourselves and the spirit that we're moving in, and the mindset that we have, the confidence in the Lord, and making sure we're not lackadaisical, making sure we're not getting comfortable, making sure we're not doing things that's worthy of being put to death, besides being put to death for righteousness. So we're going to open up with Psalms 122. Psalms 122 before we dive into the lesson. Psalms 122 starting at verse 1, and it reads, I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. So you should be glad to be around others that hold the same faith you hold, believing in the Most High, so-called black, the Messiah, as we know him to be the anointed, who the Lord has given us to make a way to get back to him. So you should be glad to, if you can be around others, to keep the law, statutes, commandments, loving your brothers and sisters. You should be glad to, look at videos, look at, lessons and things pertaining to, your salvation. You should be glad to be able to pray and read and do all of the things that requires you to do according to your heritage, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So we should be in the spirit of being glad. Not saying we always smiling, because we go through it. This captivity isn't easy. We're not going to try to act like we so mighty and we don't have days where it's the flesh is trying to get us out of the spirit, because we always fighting the flesh. This is a spiritual battle, a spiritual war. So we understand that you're going to have moments and days, or maybe even weeks or months, where you might not always be smiling, but you got to have that spirit inside of you that's always confident and looking and patiently waiting for the day of the Lord, and also having that zeal inside of you that's glad that the Lord chose you, that the Lord has had grace and mercy on you, and to not destroy you for things that you might have done in the past, for things that you slip up on a day-to-day basis, because we all make mistakes. We can't just act like we perfect, unspotted, with no blemishes. Nobody was like that but the Messiah. So we should be in the spirit of being glad, especially the times that we're approaching. You got earthquakes all over the earth. You got eclipses about to happen. You got blood moons. You got solar eclipses. The Most High is showing you signs. So this is a beautiful time to know that you are chosen. Knowing that you are Israelite, and it's not just knowing you're an Israelite, but keeping the commandments to the best of your ability, you know, not being a hypocrite, you know, not saying one thing and you doing different. So, you know, this is a beautiful time to be glad. So we're going to open up in Hebrews chapter 10. Shalom to all the saints, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So this is Hebrews chapter 10, and we're going to start at verse 31, and it reads, "It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God." So if you fear the Lord, which you should, which respect and honor the Lord, you know, you should always have on your mind that it's a fearful thing, you know, to fall into his hands, you know, into his judgment, you know. So even with me coming on YouTube, you know, doing lessons and going on the highways and byways and congregating with my brothers and my sisters, you know, I always gotta have in my mind, just as well as you, that hey, anything we say, anything we do, we should be fearing the Lord, you know. So not only saying one thing, but also doing what we saying, you know, walking in the ways of what we teaching and teaching what we walking in, you know. And there ain't nothing better to teach than the things that you struggle with, you know. So, you know, leading up to Passover, hey, you should just literally just focus on purging and getting all of the sins and the things that you fall all the time with. You know, you might deal with procrastination. You might deal with not moving hastily. You might deal with slothfulness. You might deal with lust. You might deal with covetousness. You might deal with weed, you know, marijuana. You might deal with pornography. You might deal with masturbation. You might deal with even concupiscence, things that may be in your mind, you know. But regardless, you might deal with grudges. You might deal with depression, anxiety. You know, you may deal with things that may try to keep you away from the Lord and not have you being confident, you know, when you read, not having you being confident when you teach. You know, if you're a man that teach, or if you're a woman that teach your children and your, you know, and other sisters, you know, the spiritual demon Satan might try to take away your confidence, you know, all because of something that you did last month, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, you know. So it's important for us to be confident in the Lord, and to be patient, you know, with the sufferings. You know, you may struggle with suffering and being patient. You know, anytime you struggle with something, or you ain't got no money, you know, you may just fold, you know. So you have to be aware of all these things. Like 2 Corinthians 13:5 says, you know, examine yourselves whether you be in the faith. You know, you may lack faith, you know. So regardless of what you struggle with, you know, this is a time to purge and go before the Heavenly Father and pray and seek the Most High, you know, for the things that we deal with. And He knows what we deal with, you know. It's up to us to confess that. It's up to us to confess anything and everything that we deal with. And even things that we secretly don't even understand that we struggle with, you know. You may struggle with many things and may not even realize it, you know. So you got to go before the Lord, the heavenly host, and you know, before His angels as well, you know, before the throne, and present yourself in a respectable manner, you know, honoring Him, you know, fearing Him, because He holds all the cards. He can make anything happen, and He can overthrow anything, you know. So reading this again, Hebrews chapter 10 verse 31, "It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living Most High God," you know. So the Most High ain't nothing to play with, and you have to realize that, and you have to use that mindset every day and step on eggshells. Anything you do, anything you say, you know, and it's very important to have that mindset, because, you know, fearing the Lord is so pivotal in your walk in the Most High's truth. Let me get this quick precept. This is Proverbs chapter 10. Proverbs chapter 10, and I'm going to start at verse 27. Proverbs 10 and 27, and it reads, "The fear of the Lord Yahweh prolongeth days, but the years of the wicked shall be shortened." So if you fear the Lord, you know, the Lord can stretch you out, you know, can prevent you from being judged in a car wreck and down by a car wreck, or, you know, having a stroke or any type of sickness or illness, you know, because you living your life predicated on you glorifying the Lord with your life. You know, you trying to have righteous thoughts. You trying to forsake and get all the wicked thoughts out of your mind. You loving your brothers and sisters. You giving alms. You giving charity. You know, you giving your time to others to come back to the Lord. You know, so you basically doing everything for the Lord. You know, you're not trying to glorify yourself. You know, you're not trying to idolize yourself or anybody else, or you're not trying to provoke anybody to idolize you. So if you fear the Lord can prolong your days. You know, so let's read this one more time. Proverbs 10:27. The fear of the Lord Yahweh prolongeth days, but the years of the wicked shall be shortened. Now let me get another in the Apocrypha real quick. I mean, I'm gonna go to Psalms 112. So fearing the Lord is very big, you know, because if you fear the Lord, a lot of people ain't gotta judge you based on things that you know that other people may lack. You know, you may not, you know, you may already be in the spirit of getting on yourself before something even be brought upon somebody else's attention or eyes. You know, like if you fear the Lord, you may stumble across something. You say, man, I can't be doing that, man. I gotta pray. I gotta repent. You know. This is Psalms 112, and I'm gonna start at verse 1. Psalms 112, verse 1, and it reads, "Praise ye the Lord, Yahweh. Blessed is the man that feareth the Lord, that delighted greatly in his commandments." So you gonna fear the Lord. So if anybody try to come up and tempt you, or anything, or if your boss man on your job try to you know, get you to do something, you know, or if one of your family members try to get you to do something, you instantly gonna tap in, and your spirit gonna say, you know, would the Lord do that? What would the Lord do? How would the Lord feel? You know, how would the Lord feel about you doing that? So that spirit is gonna, you know, let you be aware, you know, because you fear the Lord, you know. So let me get Sirach chapter 15. You know, and you have to purge, you know, and you have to, hey, you may have to pray and fast, you know, and ask the Lord to have grace and mercy on you, and to increase fear in you for him. You know, this is Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha. You know, we always recommend people to get one. You know, Barnes and Noble, Amazon. You know, and if you don't have a 16:11, if you have a 16:11 Bible, it's already inside the Bible, because you know the Catholic Church, Protestant, you know, those wicked heathens took it out. You know, so this is Sirach, Ecclesiasticus chapter 15 and verse 1. He that feareth the Lord will do good, and he that hath the knowledge of the law shall obtain her. So if you fear the Lord, you're gonna do good. You know, that don't mean you ain't gonna fall. You know, you may fall, you know, but if you fear the Lord, you're gonna get back up, and you're gonna, you know, turn away from what that was that caused you to fall, and then you're gonna turn back to the Lord. You know, so regardless of what it is that you struggle with, if you fear the Lord, you're gonna get back up, and you're gonna strengthen your hands on the things that you struggle with. It's gonna become, you know, a light thing to you. So fearing the Lord is very big. You know, if you fear the Lord, you may not have a father in your life, you know, but if you fear the Lord and you've, you know, studied and walked in the ways and what the Lord commanded you to do, you know, if you become a father, you're gonna teach your son, and you're gonna show your son and your children and your wife the things that requires them to do, you know. So you may not have all the resources in your life. You may not have the highest education, the upper echelon education. You may not have all of the financial literacy. You may not have everything that this world promotes and demands and deem you to have. But regardless, you're going to, you know, walk in the ways of goodness, you know, because you fear the Lord. But a lot of people, they fear the cops. You know, this world fear being put in the penitentiary system for such things, you know, and they'll walk in the ways of doing things on trying to escape judgment of the world. But first and foremost, you can't escape judgment from the Most High. You know, it don't matter what you do or where you go or how you look at things, you can't escape the judgment of the Most High. You know, He gonna get up with you when you feel like you ain't nowhere to be got up with. You know, He sees everything we do. You know, He as soon as I end this live and get off this live, He know what I'm gonna do. You know, He know if I'm sincere, if I'm just coming up here flaunting and looking for attention. You know, the Lord knows your thoughts. He knows your ways. He knows what you sincere and honest and truth about, and what you playing around with, and what costumes you putting on, or what two faces you putting on. You know, but if you fear the Lord, you gonna come before anybody and anything, His creation, and even when you make your prayers to Him, you gonna come in a respectable, honest, and truth, humble way. You know, so this is Sirach chapter 15:1 again. He that feared the Lord would do good, and he that had the knowledge of the law shall obtain her. So you know, you constantly trying to learn and, you know, get back to your heritage, get back to the laws, statutes, commandments, and He's going to allow you to obtain that. You know, because you fearing Him. You know, you fearing all of the things that comes along with, you know, being in His presence. You know, and that's another thing to pray for. You know, like King David said, cast me not away from thy presence. You know, because anytime we fall, we should have that mindset. Man, I hope the Lord don't take my spirit from me. You know, man, I hope the Lord don't cast me away. Man, I hope the Lord don't jam me up. And now my judgment is set and sealed. And everything that I've done and all the good things that I've done, He's going to forget about it. You know, we should have that mindset. We don't want the Lord to forget about all the good things that we've done. You know, now the Lord, you know, lining up all your judgments and throwing away all of the receipts. You know, okay, this brother, he kind of helped this homeless man. Okay, this sister, she kind of helped this sister learn how to sew. She kind of gave her sewing machine. She kind of showed her, you know, how to get back in good grace with me. You know, okay, this brother, the Lord got many receipts, you know, so you should be thinking all of the times what you may forget. All of the things that you done last year, all of the things that you done 3 months ago, all of the things that you done 6 months ago. You don't want it to go down the drain because you trying to fulfill the lust. You trying to get your rocks off. You know, you can't stop thinking about that person. You know, even though they married, you know, but you just want to put yourself before the Most High, you know, which the Lord said, in all your ways acknowledge me. You know, so that should be on our minds every day, acknowledging the Lord. But hey, we pick up our phone. We all do it. We pick up our phone before we acknowledge the Lord. We want to scroll, check our DMs, you know, or try to DM somebody, check the score. You know, you checking your wicked parlay. You know, you ain't even thinking about the Lord because you're trying to hit your parlay. You know, that parlay spirit, man. You got to purge that out. You know, all you parlay brothers and sisters that like to book and freak off and try to get money. You know, and the Lord knows you don't have faith in Him because you got your faith in the money. You know, which this whole video is predicated on you purging everything out that doesn't deem as rightfully with the Most High. You got more faith in the money than you do in the Lord. You got more faith in your job than you do in the Lord. You know, so every day you should be trimming and cutting all of these things down so you can get stronger, so you can get rid of the weakness and be strong in the Lord. You know, because I mean everything in this world is literally trying to be against us, the Israelites. They see us rising up. They see us coming back to the Lord. So they're gonna try to pull all the stops out. You know, they may pull out some type of wicked, nasty paper when you come back to work and say you can't take no more Saturdays off. You know, so you got to get your faith and your fear for the Lord built up to where it don't matter where you turn or where you go, to the left or to the right, to the front, to the back, you willing to put the Lord first. You know, And the Lord knows what you need. So even if you can't meet that mark, he's gonna have grace and mercy on you because you trying. This whole thing is about trying and putting forth your hand and strengthening yourself in the Lord. Like King David did. You know, when he lost everything, his wives and his brothers lost their wives and their children, you know, he strengthened himself in the Lord, you know, when you read 1 Samuel, where the Philistines try to overthrow him. So we got to strengthen ourselves. If you need money and you gambling, you got to strengthen yourself in the Lord to get that gambling spirit out of you. If you got a weed demon on you, you need to strengthen yourself in the Lord to get that weed demon out of you. So that death angel won't pass over your house, whether you at work, whether you at a gas station, whether you at somebody, family relative house, or wherever you at. That death angel gonna come over, and you ain't got no faith in the Lord. You ain't got no trust in the Lord. You ain't got no hope in the Lord. You just hoping in everything that this world promotes and show you. Then the Lord might cut you down, you know. And you rather purge all of this stuff out than the Lord purge. Because if the Lord purge you, if the Lord purge me, and I know that I need to get something out, and I need to put something out, and I don't do it, hey, it is what it is for me, you know. And that's the mindset that we gotta have. So let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 3. We gotta have that mindset. Cause ain't nobody don't nobody know you like you know you. You know you. You know what you dealing with right now. You know, I know what I'm dealing with right now. So I gotta go before the Lord and get all this sins out, this leaven out, which leaven represents sin. You know, all of the wickedness that we deal with in the dark, in our secrets, you know, behind the closed doors. We gotta cut it down, or the Lord is gonna cut us down. You know, so this is 1 Samuel chapter 3, and when you read 1 Samuel, you know, the Lord rose up Samuel, and he rose him up and told him to reveal such things to Eli the priest, you know, and Eli knew such things that he was dealing with, such things that his household was dealing with. It may be somebody in your house. You may be a brother with a wife, you know, she may be secretly idolizing something, you know, and you may kind of brushed it off unknown about it, or you may know, and she may not even know you know about it. And you just saying, oh, I don't want to rub her off. Do you not know that the Lord can cut you down by things that go on in your house? Something that your children doing, something that your wife is doing, or if you're a wife, the Lord can cut your house down because something that your husband is doing. You know, this is why it's so important. Before you even link up and try to deal with somebody, you got to know what's going on. Because y'all one now, you know. You, your child, your wife, if you're a woman, your husband, you know. So this is why it's important, you know, to fear the Lord. Because, hey, the Lord, if the Lord want to cut you down, you know, based on something that's in your house, you know, hey, the Lord can do that. The Lord can do that. This is 1 Samuel chapter 3, and I'm going to start at verse, I kind of want to start at, I'm going to just start at 10. 1 Samuel chapter 3, verse 10. And it reads, and the Lord came and stood and called as at other times, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel answered, speak, for thy servant heareth. And the Lord Yahweh said to Samuel, behold, I will do a new thing in Israel, at which both the ears of everyone that heareth it shall tingle. So anytime I see or hear another brother, you know, say something according to the Bible, you know, regardless of how mighty you think you are, regardless of how many precepts you know or remember, or regardless of how you put yourself, if you really fear the Lord and honor and respect the Lord, your spirit should tingle, man. Your ears should kind of just rattle, and you know, deep down inside, you know, you should be saying, man, I gotta get right. You know, cause we all deal with something. We all deal with. Stop thinking you don't deal with nothing, man. You know, everybody's not King David. Everybody's not Yahweh's mother. You know, everybody's not Joseph. You know, we in this flesh, and it's known that we get weak. You know, Yeah, you have days where you're not high in the spirit, you're not burning in the spirit. You have days where you might want to read 5 chapters. You have days where you might want to read 1 chapter. You have days where your flesh might tell you not to read at all. You have days where you want to fast. You say, man, I need to go on a 3-day fast. I need to do a 2-day fast. I need to do a 1-day fast. I've been wicked this week. If you fear the Lord. But if you don't fear the Lord, hey, you may not even realize that. You may not even think about that. You know, if you fear the Lord, you automatically gonna be on yourself. You're gonna examine yourself. You're gonna get on yourself. You're gonna open up the sword, the Bible. You're gonna cut yourself up. You're gonna be going to all type of precepts. You know, you're gonna be purging yourself if you fear the Lord. You know. So, hey, that spirit gonna tell you. And anybody that bring the word out, anybody that, you know, that you follow, or your leaders or your elders, you know, whoever, you know, anything they say, it should tingle, you know. It should ring an alarm, you know. The trumpet should be going off in your spirit, you know. Like one of the 7 trumpets, because the Lord, at any given moment, the Lord can kick this thing off and shut everything down. You know, next thing you know, you're trying to go back because you don't take notes. You don't kind of write nothing down. You know, you're always relying on your memory, and then the Lord can jam you up when you sleep and you wake up. You don't memorize nothing no more. So you might come back on the internet. The internet might be gone. EMP attack might kick off. You know. So anything that the Lord puts in front of you, and any of His words that come out, it should, you know, it should have you tingle. You know. So going back to this, 1 Samuel chapter 3 and verse 11. And the Lord Yahweh said to Samuel, behold, I will do a new thing. So like, behold, I will do a thing in Israel, at which both the ears of everyone that heareth it shall tingle. In that day I will perform against Eli all things which I have spoken concerning his house. When I begin, I will also make an end. So the Lord is revealing to him that he's going to get up with Eli, you know. And Eli had, you know, sons that they wasn't doing things, you know, predicated upon things that they should have been doing pertaining to a priest's son, you know. And on this same scale, if we got children, we supposed to be teaching our children, you know. Don't let your children rule over you. Don't let your children put fear in you that you're not a good parent. You know, you got to know who you serve at the end of the day. The beginning of the day and the end of the day. Don't let your children get you to the point where the Lord gonna purge you, because you're not purging them and you're not purging your house. You know, so you got to fear the Lord. You got to purge you and your house, or the Lord is gonna purge you and your house. You know, so you got to clean your house up, or the Lord is gonna clean you up and your whole house. You know, because like the words say, you know, a wicked woman is given to a wicked man, you know, and you got wicked children. You know, let me get this real quick. You know, before we get a little deeper into Eli and him and his sons being cut off and purged out. This is Sirach chapter 41. Going back to the Apocrypha, Ecclesiasticus chapter 41. And I'm going to start at verse 4. I'm going to start at verse 5. Sirach chapter 41 verse 5. The children of sinners are abominable children, and they that are conversant in the dwelling of the ungodly, the inheritance of sinners' children shall perish. So the Lord, as soon as we go back to 1 Samuel and read, the Lord is going to let you know that this man's house is about to be cut down, and their prosperity shall have a perpetual reproach. The children will complain of an ungodly father, because they shall be reproached for his sake. So it all goes back to the law. We got a law in Deuteronomy the 6th chapter saying that we supposed to teach our children. Lord willing, I can get it. You know, if I don't lose my my train of thought, you know, because I got other precepts, you know, lined up. But nevertheless, so if we don't teach our children, the Lord is going to jam us up. You know, we wasn't in the wilderness 40 years for nothing. You know, we had children when we came out of Egypt, you know, and dwelling, so like and journeying, you know, days journeys, months journeys, years journeys, and so all of the things that we receive, you know, and dealing with the Mount Horeb, Mount Sinai, you know, even after Moses, you know, we had to keep the law. We couldn't just stop just because Moses didn't make it to the promised land. You know, those children that came along, you know, they had to be taught again, you know, because you got to constantly keep going over stuff with your children. You know, I know me as well. You know, I got to keep constantly going over stuff with my children. And sometimes you just got to stick to the basics and then you got to build up. Go back to the basics and then build up again. Go back to the basics and then build up. You know, and it's a very important thing having children because that's a heritage. That's literally a blessing that the Lord gave you to instruct them and have them go into the next phase as they get older. And now they are literally showing their light, their fruit, you know, bringing forth fruit, you know, and fearing the Lord. But if you just let your child do as they want, you know, the Lord can get up with you. So reading this again, Sirach 41:7. The children will complain of an ungodly father, because they shall be reproached for his sake. Woe be unto you, ungodly men, which have forsaken the law of the Most High God. And one of the laws is Deuteronomy the 6th chapter, you know, and many other Leviticus 19. You got all other laws, statutes, commandments, you know, that we supposed to teach our children and bring them up in a way that they should go, you know. For if ye increase, it shall be to your destruction. And if ye be born, ye shall be born to a curse. And if ye die, a curse shall be your portion. All that are of the earth shall turn to earth again. So the ungodly shall go from a curse to destruction. So going back to 1 Samuel chapter 3 and verse 13. For I have told him that I would judge his house forever for the iniquity which he knoweth. So he knew about this iniquity, you know. He knew about this iniquity. It wasn't like he didn't know, you know. Acts 17:30. In the times of the ignorance, Most High winked at it. And when we was ignorant, the Most High kind of winked at certain things. Things that we didn't know, the Most High, he might have had grace and mercy on. But Eli knew about such things in his house. You know, if you know your wife is doing something that she ain't supposed to be doing, you gotta say something. You gotta correct. You can't have no respected persons. You can't say, well, she paid the bills. You know, she paid majority of the bills, and you know, I'm down bad. It can't be none of that. You know, it can't be, well, you know, she kind of weak. You know, the woman, she's the weaker vessel. She kind of don't take correction like that. So I really can't say nothing. Man, you better have the fear of the Lord on you, or the Lord gonna cut you, your wife, and your children down. You know. Now, if you're a woman and your husband, you know, just kind of doing some stuff he ain't got no business and he just wicked, hey, you know, you kind of just can't, you know, you gotta keep the order. But it more so starts with the man, you know, because the man is the head. You know, it's Yahweh Shai, the husband, the wife, and the children. You know, but if you're a woman and you just dealing with such matters, you gotta pray, beseech the Heavenly Father, throw some supplications, pray and fast, you know, and try to, you know, talk to your husband, say, well, you know, the Lord, you know, he's a mighty man. How do you feel if the Lord was to judge us on such things? Because I know I seen you do this. I'm just asking. I'm just you know, you kind of got to be humble and come before him in a humble and a meek spirit. You know, you don't want to just come up just rebuking them like you at camp, or like leaders and elders do at camp. You know, but you know, you kind of got to go before the Most High with that. But towards a man, you know, you got to know that any given moment, if you don't correct such things in your house, the Lord can jam you up. You know, even like the word say, a man that like I'm trying to paraphrase it. he that is I might have to get it in Surah 30, Surah 37. Let me see. Is it 39 or 30? Let me see if I can find this precept real quick. Let me see. I kind of forgot how it's paraphrased, but it's kind of saying man. Let me see if I can find this precept. I don't even want to move on till I get this. I'm getting all type of precepts that just coming in my mind, but Lord willing, it'll come to me though. Let me see. I thought it was a Surah 37. So like I gotta find this precept real quick. But hey, if you don't get your house in order, the Lord can overthrow your house. You know, the Lord can literally jam your whole household up based on things you know and based on things you didn't correct. You know. So hey, we gotta do it now. This is a warning, a warning to me, warning to everybody else. You know, because I know my children, man. You know, I gotta get on them a lot about such things. But you know, hey, all praise to the Most High. It ain't nothing too hard for the Most High. This is Surah chapter 27, and I'm gonna start at verse 3. Surah chapter 27 and verse 3, and it reads. I don't know how I thought it was Surah 37. Surah chapter 27 and verse 3. Unless a man hold himself diligently in the fear of the Lord, his house shall soon be overthrown. And when you read down, so like as when one sifted with a sieve, the refuse remaineth, so the filth of man in his talk. So the Most High can sift you, the Most High can sift your house, the Most High can sift your children, the Most High can take that thing and just cut everybody down, you know. So Eli, he knew that his sons was off, you know. So going back to 1 Samuel chapter 3 and verse 13, for I have told him that I would judge his house forever for the iniquity which he knoweth, because his sons made themselves vile, and he restrained them not. So he didn't restrain them, you know. And the Lord said, train up a child in the way that it should go. The Lord also said, spare not the rod, you know, from your child. You know, we can go to many other precepts, but I already know if I go down there, I'm gonna be all over the place. But hey, when it comes to disciplining our children, it don't matter if they 20 years old, 30 years old, 17, 22. It don't matter if they grown and got children. That's your child at the end of the day. That's your son, that's your daughter. You're the father, you're the mother. It don't matter how young they are. If they're doing something they're not supposed to, it's our job to correct them and get them in order. We got to purge our house with all the leaven and get the leaven out, you know, as well as ourselves, you know, because it represents our whole house as well, spirit and our physical house, you know. So I'm thinking about a precept. You know, this is one thing we should be willing to look for, you know, because when you desire to do the work of the Lord, anytime a precept escape your mind, man, I hate that. You know, I hate it with a great hatred. So, but hey, it's all the Lord's doing. So, you know, we should be looking forward to getting the laws in our inward part. Which, if you don't have any desires or any motivation, or if you don't have one thing that motivates you to get the kingdom, knowing that the Lord is going to put everything inside of you to where you ain't got to try to, you know, memorize nothing no more, studying such things, you know. You studying all of the precepts and the things that you got to study, and the next thing you know, it just goes away, you know. So that's one thing we should be looking forward to. But nevertheless, I'm going to get Deuteronomy chapter 6 real quick. Deuteronomy chapter 6 before I move on and get a little deeper into this 1 Samuel 3. This is Deuteronomy chapter 6, and I'm going to start at verse 4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our Most High God is one Lord, and thou shalt love the Lord Yahweh thy Most High God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. That's that fear. That's that respect. That's that honor in the Lord. Verse 6, Deuteronomy 6:6. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. So we supposed to do that with our children, you know. And also, Leviticus chapter 5 and verse 1. Now, Eli was a priest. You know, this is Leviticus chapter 5 and verse 1, and it reads, and if a soul sin and hear the voice of swearing, and is a witness, whether he has seen or known of it, if he do not utter it, then he shall bear his iniquity. And you know, you can read Ezekiel 33, 6, all the way down to verse 8. You can read Ezekiel chapter 3 and verse 16, 17, and 18. You know, if you see something or hear something, you know, you gotta say something. You gotta get on them. You know, it don't matter if it's your child, it don't matter if it's your woman, it don't matter what the case is. Even if you in a congregation when you dealing with brothers, you know, you should be if you see a brother doing something, or a brother did something that was off, and you didn't say something, hey, you gotta repent. You know, we gotta repent from that, and that's something we gotta have on our minds all the time. You know, so let me get 1 Peter real quick. 1 Peter chapter 4. I don't want to, you know, put too much in that. 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 17, it reads, for the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of Most High God, and if it first begin at us, what shall the end of them that obey not the gospel of Most High God? So, hey, if you know such things, and Eli knew such things, you know, judgment began at his house. Let me get Isaiah 3 real quick. Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 14. Isaiah chapter 3 verse 14, and it reads, the Lord Yahweh will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people. And what is the ancients? Because, you know, normally when we hear the ancients, you know, we automatically think about the old. But this is, you know, a little deeper into those that have the wisdom, the understanding, the knowledge. You know, that's the ancient of his people. You know, you literally know that the Lord gave you such things according to his treasures. You know, things that he can only give you. You know, you can't go to a seminary, a theology, you know, and find about, you know, the secrets of the Lord. You know, this world, hey, they wisdom is a little different. You know, it's on the left hand side. You know, of course they might know history and things like that. You know, a little bit of chronology and archaeology. You know, but it's a little different with the Most High. You know, so Eli was considered an ancient of a man, the ancients. You know, the ancients of his people. You know, and if you have the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, you consider the ancient of his people, according to the truth and the spirit of truth. You know, so Isaiah 3 and 14, the Lord Yahweh will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people and the princes thereof, for ye have eaten of the vineyard. The spoil of the poor is in your houses. You see that? So the Lord is going to enter. He's going to judge those that know about the law, statutes, commandments. Those that know that they're Israelites. Those that know such things should be done and what things shouldn't be done. So this is what the Lord is literally revealing. This is why it's important for us, especially if we teaching, especially if we receiving the teaching and the all of the secrets, whatever you want to call it. You know, this is why it's important to take heed to the information and apply that information to our life. You know, even when I'm teaching, I gotta apply this to my whole arsenal in my day-to-day life. You know, so going down, verse 14. I'm gonna go back to this. 1 Samuel chapter 3 verse 13. For I have told him that I would judge his house forever for the iniquity which he knoweth, because his sons made themselves vile, and he restrained them not. And therefore I have sworn unto the house of Eli, that the iniquity of Eli's house shall not be purged with sacrifice nor offering forever. You see that? And all that is you basically knowing, but you turning your head, and there doesn't remain any more sacrifices that you can do. So let's get Hebrews chapter 10, the classic. Because he said there ain't no sacrifice that's going to purge that iniquity out. Because why? It's basically death now, and this is a big thing. We got to keep this on our mind. The Most High ain't nothing to play with, The Most High ain't nothing to play with. This is Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 26, and it reads, for if we sin willfully, after that we have received the knowledge. So Eli already had the knowledge, So that's basically willfully sinning. For if we sin willfully, after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins. And on another scale, now that Yahweh Shah, lay down his life, and put himself up for the remission of sins for the Israelites. Now this applies to us as well, that if we know we doing something that we ain't supposed to be doing, and we just kind of just keep doing it and just keep turning our head and just keep saying, well, the Lord gonna have grace and mercy on me. Hey, that's the same thing that the Nicolaitans did. When you read Revelation chapter 2, that Christianity mindset, oh, the Lord, he's gonna have grace and mercy on me. The Lord is gonna forgive me. You can't apply that to your life. You don't know that. So therefore you gotta purge such things out, and you gotta purge it out, or the Lord gonna purge you out, So let me get Isaiah real quick. Isaiah chapter 22, and I'm gonna start at verse 14. Isaiah chapter 22 and verse 14, and it reads, and it was revealed in my ears by the Lord Yahweh of hosts, surely this iniquity shall not be purged from you till ye die, said the Lord Yahweh, Most High God of hosts. So such iniquities, the only way they can be purged out is if you die. And that's the same thing that's going to happen, with this wicked place. In World War III, during the famine, Jacob's trouble, martial law, all of these events and these prophetic events that got to take place, it's lined up for all of the wicked doers and all of the other nations that that was had their hand into destroying the Most High's doings as well. So this iniquity can only be purged out is if you die, So going to the let me see, 1 Samuel chapter 4, and I'm gonna start at verse 14. 1 Samuel 4 and 14. And when Eli heard the noise of the crying, because the Ark of the Covenant, it got captured, the Philistines was doing such things to the Israelites as well. 1 Samuel 4 and 14. And when Eli heard the noise of the crying, he said, what meaneth the noise of this tumult? And the man came in hastily and told Eli. Now Eli was 98 years old, and his eyes were dim that he could not see. Now, mind you, in chapter 3, Samuel already told Eli that the Lord was going to get up with him and his sons. So this is literally was taking place. 1 Samuel 4 and 16. And the man said unto Eli, I am he that came out of the army, and I fled today out of the army. And he said, what is there done, my son? So you had somebody that came and report a message to Eli. Verse 17, 1 Samuel 4, 17. And the messenger answered and said, Israel is fled before the Philistines, and there have been also a great slaughter among the people. And thy two sons also So he said there was a great slaughter among the people, and thy two sons also, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the ark of Most High God is taken. Verse 18, and it came to pass, now Eli, his sons are dead. Verse 18, and it came to pass, when he had made mention of the ark of Most High God, that he fell from off the seat backward by the side of the gate, and his neck brake, and he died. For he was an old man and heavy, and he had judged Israel 40 years. You see that? So when the Most High gonna get up with you, he gonna get up with you. You know? Let me get this in 1 Samuel 15. 1 Samuel chapter 15, and I'm gonna start at verse 23. 1 Samuel chapter 15, and I'm gonna start at verse 22. 1 Samuel 15 to 22, and it reads, and Samuel said, had the Lord Yahweh as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of the Lord? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. So if Eli was obedient, then his sons, him and his sons wouldn't have went through that. You know, but we understand, like Romans 15 and 4 says, that things was written aforetime was written for our learning. You know, so we got to look at this and apply this to our day-to-day life, myself and, you know, everybody else, according to the hopeful elect, so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You know, so it's better to be obedient than to sacrifice. You know, and even I'm gonna read down verse, even in Numbers the 16th chapter, you had the Lord purge Israelites from among Moses and Aaron that was rebelling. You know, so the Lord, if he want to get up with you, he can get up with you. This is 1 Samuel chapter 15 and verse 22. So like in verse 23, for rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, he had also rejected thee from being king. So you don't want to reject the words of the Lord. You know, if you find yourself with your back against the wall, you can't reject the Lord's word because your back is against the wall. You know, if you down bad, you can't reject the word of the Lord because you down bad. You know, that's the time that you should be going forth to the Lord, you know, praying and beseeching and searching the Lord, you know. So I'm gonna read a little bit because I already quoted it. Numbers chapter 16. I'm gonna read a little bit of this. This is Numbers chapter 16, and I'm gonna start at verse 23. And the Lord Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the congregation, saying, get you up from among the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan and Abiram. And Moses rose up and went unto Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. Now, as you read earlier up in this chapter, you had certain Israelites that was coming before Moses and was rebelling against him, you know, talking about, you know, this is too much for you, you know. You don't need to be doing this. You don't need to be doing that. So, you know, then that's when, you know, the Most High has such things to go about. And now he's about to get up with these rebellion Israelites, you know. So you don't want to rebel against the words of the Lord. And you don't want to rebel against, you know, those who the Lord put to kind of lead you in this truth. Because you got leaders in this truth as well. You know, you got brothers that kind of want to try to be above and try to be, you know, over the man that the Lord put in front of them to help lead them, you know. So, and that's rebellion. So, hey, the Lord can cut you down, you know. You kind of getting, you know, built up as far as getting in the word and knowing the word, memorizing things, and you kind of feeling yourself. And now you trying to rebel, you know, hey, the Lord can cut you down. You know, the Lord said as well, those who humble themselves, he will exalt. So we got to make sure we humble as well, and we got to make sure we're not rebelling against his word. We got to make sure we're teaching our children, you know, and we got to make sure we purging all of this wickedness out, all of these secret sins, You know, and a lot of brothers may not talk about that. You know, you kind of see a brother kind of getting known and he mighty, you know, and you rebelling. You know, you kind of getting jealous. You know, Most High ain't dealing with jealousy either. Most High ain't dealing with anybody trying to overthrow and overstep somebody else that he put in front, so you can learn from. You know, they should be learning from Moses, but instead they talking about in Numbers the 16th chapter, early in this chapter, that it's too much for you. You know, you don't know what the measurement of that man or that woman's spirit is. You know, so how you gonna say, you know, it's too much for you? You don't need to be doing this. You don't need to be doing that. You know, that's why it's mostly important to examine and observe and look at things from afar off. You know, because you don't know what the Lord literally put in that position to have done and to have been issued out. You know, so this is going back to Numbers chapter 16 and verse 26. And he spake unto the congregation, saying, Depart, I pray you, from the tents of these wicked men, and touch nothing of theirs, lest ye be consumed in all their sins. So they got up from the tabernacle of Korah and Dathan and Abram on every side, and Dathan and Abram came out and stood in the door of their tents, and their wives and their sons and their little children. You know, so he basically warned them, like, hey, you know, y'all get away from these wicked Israelites, you know, and don't touch nothing of theirs, lest you be consumed. Verse 28, Numbers 16 and 28. And Moses said, Hereby ye shall know that the Lord Yahweh had sent me to do all these works, for I have not done them of my own mind. So he telling you that, hey, he ain't a man just coming for vain glory, just coming for glorification of men. People been bowing down before him. He coming to do the Lord's work, not of his own mind, but of the Lord's might and the Lord's strength, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You know, verse 29, number 16 to 29. If these men die the common death of all men, or if they be visited after the visitation of all men, then the Lord had not sent me. But if the Lord Yahweh make a new thing, and the earth open her mouth and swallow them up with all that appertain unto them, and they go down quick into the pit, then ye shall understand that these men have provoked the Lord. You know, so he's telling you that, hey, if the Lord do this, you gonna know that, hey, this is of the Lord. But if the Lord don't do this, then you, hey, you know, then you got to take heed. Numbers 16 and 31. And it came to pass, as he had made an end of speaking all these words, that the ground clave asunder that was under them, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up, and their houses, and all the men that appertain unto Korah, and all their goods. They and all that pertain to them went down alive into the pit, and the earth closed upon them, and they perished from among the congregation. And all Israel that were round about them fled at the cry of them, for they said, Lest the earth swallow us up also. And there came out a fire from the Lord Yahweh and consumed the 250 men that offered incense. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, that he take up the censer out of the burning and scatter thou the fire yonder, for they are hollow. The censers of these sinners against their own souls, let them make them broad plates for a covering of the altar, for they offered them before the Lord, therefore they are hallowed, and they shall be a sign unto the children of Israel. You see that? So the Lord, he purged that wickedness out. He opened up the ground, and he got those wicked Israelites out of there, you know, and sent fire down from the heavens, you know. So, hey, the Most High ain't nothing to play with. And we got to look at this. There's many ways that the Lord can purge and purify us, you know, many ways. So this is Hebrews chapter 10 And I'm going to start at verse 9, and it reads, Then said he, Lo, I come to do thy will, O Most High God. He taketh away the first, that he may establish the second, by the which, Salakia, I wanted verse 19. Salakia, I thought I wanted verse 9. Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 19, and it reads, Having therefore, brethren, boldness to enter into the holiest by the blood of Yahweh Shah. So now we have the boldness to enter, you know, because hey, even like in the days of Moses, you know, you couldn't just move and do such things. You couldn't even go in to the temple, and you couldn't go past a certain certain room in those temples. Even Aaron, he couldn't even go and search such things like the holiest of the holiest. You know, only Aaron could be in there, and you know, Aaron and his sons was doing such office work as well. So now we have such boldness, you know, to enter in the holiest. So let me read this one more time. Matter of fact, I want to get that quick. I want to get that precept right quick. And let me see. I want to get that in, is it Leviticus? So like I kind of just thought about this. This just came off the spirit. Let me see. This is Exodus. Let me see where I want to go. This is Exodus chapter. So like I want to get. This is Exodus chapter 25 and shit. Like, let me find this real quick. I think I might have missed. Let me get Leviticus chapter 16 right quick until I find it. This is the book of Leviticus chapter 16, and I'm gonna start at verse. I'm gonna start at verse 1. And the Lord Yahweh spake unto Moses after the death of the two sons of Aaron, when they offered before the Lord Yahweh and died. And the Lord said unto Moses, Speak unto Aaron thy brother, that he come not at all times into the holy place within the veil before the mercy seat, which is upon the ark, that he die not, for I will appear in the cloud upon the mercy seat. So Moses, you know, through the Most High, Yahweh Shem Shah, commanded Aaron, you know, when he was doing such things for Israel as far as atoning, you know, that he couldn't go, you know, past that holy place. So that's what I wanted to get. Let me read it one more time. Leviticus chapter 16 and verse 2. And the Lord Yahweh said unto Moses, Speak unto Aaron thy brother, that he come not at all times into the holy place within the veil before the mercy seat. But now, you know, we have a sure way, because that was a representation to, you know, what we have now, you know, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, you know. So reading this again in Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 19, Hebrews 10 and 19. Having therefore, brethren, boldness to enter into the holiest by the blood of Yahweh Shah, because his sacrifice allows us to, you know, have a way to get back, you know, to where we was casted away from, you know. So now we gotta accept the Son in order to, you know, have mercy and grace from the Heavenly Father. Hebrews 10 and 20, by a new and living way, which he had consecrated for us through the veil, that is to say, his flesh. So the ark of the covenant, you know, in the holiest of the holies, hey, that's a representation of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. Verse 21. And having an high priest over the house of Most High God, even though Aaron was a priest, you know, as it was a foreshadow of things, that was to come. Even like the new moon, even like the Sabbaths, even like the feast days. It's a foreshadow of things to come. So we were just rehearsing the righteous acts, you know, but it's a foreshadow of things to come, because you know you got to look at it like it's practice right now, you know. So the real deal is going to come, you know, later, Lord willing, sooner, you know. Hebrews 10:21, and having a high priest over the house of Most High God, let us draw near with a true heart and full assurance of faith. So we got to draw near to the Lord with a true heart, you know, with a full assurance of faith. You know, you got to be fully assured. You know, you can't be playing around with this thing. This is the Most High ain't nothing to play with. You know, so you got to draw near with a true heart. You know, especially the times approaching up, leading up to the Passover. You know, you eating the bread and the lamb and the bitter herbs. You know, you knowing that the bread is a representation towards the Lord. He didn't have any sin in him. You know, unleavened. You know, he was without sin. You know, gave up his body. You know, you drinking the wine, representation towards, you know, accepting his blood. You know, you eating the bitter herbs, representation to the hard bondage that we had to deal with in Egypt, our forefathers and foremothers dealt with, you know. So you got to draw near with a true heart. You know, Hebrews 10:22, let us draw near with a true heart and full assurance of faith, having our hearts sprinkled from an evil conscience and our bodies washed with pure water. You know, so you got to have your conscience sprinkled, you know, from an evil conscience, you know, because we all have many thoughts in our minds. You know, your brother might have said something to you, your sister might have said something to you, and you might have just been thinking such things that you ought not, you know. So it's important for us to have the mindset on cleansing and purging and getting these things out, or else the Lord is going to cut us down and purge us, you know. So going down, I wanted to get Hebrews chapter 9. It's Hebrews chapter 9 and verse 13. Hebrews 9:13, and it reads, for if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of a heifer, sprinkling the unclean, sanctify to the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Hamashiach, Christ, who through the eternal spirit offered himself without spot to Most High God, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living Most High God. So you got to purge your conscience as well, you know, because you may you may be new, you may be coming into the faith, you know, so you got to cleanse your mind, you know, maybe a couple months, a couple weeks, or a year, a couple years, you know. So you still may be fighting and dealing with some of the same things that's trying to pull you back, you know, that's trying to pull you back into that old man or that old woman. So you got to purge your mind. Let me read that one more time. Mighty precept, Hebrews chapter 9 and verse 14. How much more shall the blood of Hamashiach, who through the eternal spirit offered himself. So he offered himself, you know, so you should be offering yourself, you know, not waiting for somebody to tell you, not waiting for somebody to say, well, you know, you kind of been looking like you've been dealing with this or dealing with that, you know, or hey, through the spirit, the Lord showed me that this or that, you know. You should offer yourself as well. Examine yourself, you know, who through the eternal spirit offered himself without spot to Most High God. Purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living Most High God. You see that? So let me get 1 Peter real quick. This is 1 Peter chapter 1 and 1 Peter chapter 3. And I'm gonna start at verse 21, and it reads, the light figure whereunto even baptism doeth also now save us, not the putting away of the filth of the flesh, but the answer of a good conscience toward Most High God, by the resurrection of Yahushua HaMashiach. You see that? You know, because we taking on the things that the Lord took on, you know. When you read Matthew 3, chapter 3, verse 11 all the way down, you know, John the Baptist baptizing Yahushua HaMashiach, you know, that's a representation on what we doing as well. You know, we get baptized with the same things that he dealt with, you know, being hated of our own brothers and sisters, you know, we trying to live a righteous life when the world, they about to try to condemn us, you know, we speaking against this society, the world gonna try to crucify us, you know, so many things that we partaking on that the Lord took on as well, you know, so you got to be able to purge these things. So let me get Sirach chapter 17, and I'm gonna start at verse 14. Sirach chapter 17 and verse 14, and it reads in the Apocrypha, Ecclesiasticus chapter 17 and verse 14, and it reads, and he said unto them, beware of all unrighteousness. So you got to be aware of all unrighteousness, not just, you know, a little bit. You know, you can't have that mindset, well, it's a lot, man, you know, hey, maybe if I just do away with a little bit, the Lord gonna have mercy on me. No, you should be willing to clean up all wickedness and get all filth out. You know, that's the mindset you should have. You know, being aware of all unrighteousness. You know, because you may be straight a little bit. You may feel like you kind of, you know, mighty, you on fire. Hey, but the children, they might, if you got kids, they might be lacking. Your wife might be lacking. You know, you might got a brother in your congregation might be lacking. You know, so you got to be aware of all unrighteousness. You know, because, you know, a lot of times you may feel like, hey, you doing well, you got things in order, you know, but it don't just stop with you, you know, because you might got some attachments as well, like we read in Eli, you know. So he knew of some things that his household was lacking with, but he didn't correct, he didn't purge out the wickedness in his household, you know. So you got to look at the same thing. You got to have the same mindset. So Sirach chapter 17 and verse 14, and he said unto them, beware of all unrighteousness, and he gave every man commandment concerning his neighbor. You see that? Knowing how to treat your neighbor, knowing how to deal with your neighbor, knowing how you should deal with yourself to be able to deal with your neighbor. Verse 15, their ways are ever before him, and shall not be hid from his eyes. You see that? So the Lord knows everything we're doing, knows everything that our children is doing, knowing everything that our spouse is doing. So the Lord, hey, he knows our ways, you know. Let me get another precept. Sirach chapter 42. I kind of just thought about this through the spirit and the power of Yahushua Shah. This is Sirach chapter, same book, Ecclesiasticus chapter 42 verse 17, and it reads, the Lord had not given power to the saints to declare all his marvelous works, which the Almighty Lord Yahushua Shah firmly settled, that whatsoever is might, be established for his glory. So hey, the Lord, he ain't gonna give you basically everything, you know. The Lord ain't gonna give you everything that's in the third heavens. He ain't gonna reveal everything to you. You know, let me get another precept. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 8 and verse 4. Sirach 18 and 4. To whom had he given power to declare his works, and who shall find out his noble acts? You know, so the Lord ain't gonna give you the same power that he holds, you know. So if the Lord say, okay, that's enough, that's it, I gotta kill you, you know, you can't just say, well, you know, Lord willing, he gonna have mercy on me, Lord willing, you know. You don't hold the power that he has. If he want to put it into something, you can't say, well, you know, I'm kind of mighty, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Hey, you know, we don't fully know the ways of the Lord, and we don't know his mind, you know. So reading down, matter of fact, let me get another precept real quick. This is Romans chapter 11. Romans chapter 11 and verse 34, and it reads, For who had known the mind of the Lord, or who had been his counselor? Yeah, who had known the mind of the Lord, or who can go before the Lord and counsel him? Well, you know, you shouldn't have killed Eli. You shouldn't have took his sons. You know, you mean to tell me there won't nothing he could have sacrificed? There won't no offense he could have did to stop that? Who you can't go before the Lord and say that. You know, you can't say that. Reading this again, Romans chapter 11 and verse 34. Who had known the mind of the Lord, or who had been his counselor, or who had first given to him, and it shall be recompensed unto him again. See that? So let me get one more, Isaiah 40. You know, so hey, our ways is different than the Lord. Our ways is higher than the Lord. You know, Isaiah chapter 40 and verse 13. Isaiah chapter 40 and verse 13. Who had directed the spirit of the Lord Yahweh, or being his counselor had taught him. See that? So who directed the spirit of the Lord? You know. So that's exactly what it's talking about in Sirach 42. Let me go down a little bit. Isaiah 40 and 14. With whom took he counsel, and who instructed him, and taught him in the path of judgment, and taught him knowledge, and shewed to him the way of understanding. So this is why he's called the Ancient of Days. You know, you can't you know, try to make the Most High do what he want, do what you want him to do. So going back to Ecclesiastes, so like in chapter 42. So right, chapter 42 and verse 18. He seeketh out the deep and the heart, and considered their crafty devices. So you can't get crafty with the Most High. I can't get crafty with the Most High. Nobody can get crafty with the Most High. You know, the Most High knows all our ins and outs. For the Lord knoweth all that may be known, and he holdeth the signs of the world. You know, so the Lord, he holds the moon. When he want to send judgment to the earth, what normally what go down? A blood moon. So like, you know, and even tomorrow, Lord willing, you know, you got a solar eclipse, you know, and the Lord, he holds the signs of the world, you know. So the Lord is going to reveal and show things and bring judgment to the earth, you know. Verse 19, Sirach 42 and 19, he declared the things that are past and for to come, and revealed the steps of hidden things, you know. So hey, he's revealing and exposing Esau and, you know, Israelites' secret sins as well, you know. So I can't hide nothing from the Lord, and nobody can, you know. Verse 20, no thought escaping him, neither any word is hidden from him. You see that? He had garnished the excellent works of his wisdom, and he is from everlasting to everlasting. Sirach 42 and 21. Unto him may nothing be added, neither can he be diminished, and he had no need of any counselor. Verse 22, oh, how desirable are all his works, and that a man may see even to a spark. You see that? So a mighty chapter right there. So let me go to Ezekiel chapter 18 through the Spirit. Ezekiel chapter 18 and Ezekiel chapter 18, and I believe I want verse 30 real quick. Ezekiel 18 and verse 30, and it reads, therefore I will judge you, O house of Israel, every one according to his ways, said the Lord Most High God. Yeah, the Most High ain't gonna hold the Edomites, the Amalekites, and he's not gonna uphold the Ammonites and the Moabites to the same standard, because we was given the law, statutes, and commandments. Let me get this in Deuteronomy 4 real quick. Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 4, Deuteronomy 4 and 4, and it reads, but ye that did cleave unto the Lord your Most High God are alive, every one of you this day. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord Yahweh my Most High God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whether ye go to possess it. Deuteronomy 4:6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. So the Israelites was given things by the Most High God, to, hey, this is our heritage, law, statutes, and commandments, So, hey, everybody's looking at us and saying this is a wise and understanding nation. But instead, hey, they looking at us saying, look at these fools, look at these, they might say the N word or something, and now we a proverb and a reproach, a proverb and a byword. So we got to look at such things and, we got to apply it to our walk so everybody else can see how the Most High literally is dealing with the Israelites. And he gave the world to the Israelites. So Ezekiel chapter 18 and verse 30 again. Therefore I will judge you, O house of Israel, every one according to his ways, said the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shah, Most High God. Repent and turn yourselves from all your transgressions, so iniquity shall not be your ruin. So we got to repent, turn away. Luke 13:3. I tell you, nay, except you repent, you shall all likewise perish. Even in that chapter, he said it another time. So going down, Ezekiel chapter 18 and verse 31. Cast away from you all your transgressions, whereby ye have transgressed, and make you a new heart and a new spirit. For why will ye die, O house of Israel? For I have no pleasure in the death of him that dieth, said the Lord Most High God. Wherefore turn yourselves and live ye. So the Most High, he don't take pleasure in having to kill us. He's compassionate, and he's merciful, and give us time to correct things. But if we don't correct it, and we abuse and frustrate that grace, now what's going to happen? We're going to get put to death, and the Most High going to purge us. So let me get Psalms 51. This is the book of Psalms chapter 51, and I'm going to start at verse 7, and it reads, purge me with hyssop. So King David said, Lord, purge me with hyssop. And that's, that's a herb that even in the days of old, and when you look it up, it's a healing and cleansing mechanism. It has many benefits as far as cleansing and healing. So on a spiritual scale, we want the Lord to purge us and cleanse us. And even this is what King David's saying. Psalms 51:7. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. So if the Lord purge us on a spiritual level, which we should want the Lord, this is why we should ask and pray the Lord to renew in us a righteous and clean spirit and mindset. Because when he does that, he purifies us, he cleanses us. So Psalms 51:7. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. So this is King David pleading, when he was found in a time when he was committing adultery. And you may have committed adultery. You may have went into a whole nother philosophy, even if you didn't commit adultery on a physical level. You may have went into false doctrines. So you got to repent and ask the Lord to cleanse you and purge you and get all of the wickedness out. Let me get Psalm 79. This is the book of Psalms chapter 79 and verse 9, and it reads, help us, O Most High God of our salvation, for the glory of thy name, and deliver us, and purge away our sins for thy name's sake. You see that? So we should be seeking and stretching forth to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shem Shah, and asking him to help us, O Most High God. Purge me. Purge. Hey, help me get this wickedness out, Lord. Because you got to confess this thing too. Didn't James say that? You know, confess your faults. Let me get that in James chapter 5. James chapter 5 and verse 16. James chapter 5 and verse 16. Confess your faults one to another and pray one for another, that ye may be healed. So, hey, we should look for healing. You know, we should look for the Lord to purge and get this wickedness out. You know, so we got to do our part, and on that behalf, the Lord can work His part. You know, so we got to confess. You know, so the Lord can open up the way of, you know, making our prayers answered. Because the Lord also said in 1 John 3 and 22 that whatsoever we ask, He's going to give it to us. 1 John chapter 3 and verse 22, and it reads, and whatsoever we ask, we receive of Him. So we asking the Lord to purge us. Lord, cleanse me with your hyssop. Purge me with your hyssop. You know, Lord, purge me from my sins. Purge my sins away. You know, whatsoever we ask. You know, because we asking according to His righteousness, not our righteousness. Hey, it's a light thing for the Lord to take away these spirits from us. You know, these covetous spirits, these lust spirits. You know, hey, it's a light thing for the Lord to take these things away. You know, so when you come before the Lord, you know, you opening up all of your secret vaults. You opening up the closet, all of the things that you hiding. You know, and you confessing. You said, Lord, you know, I got a pornography demon. Lord, I got a masturbating demon. Lord, I got a weed demon. Lord, I got a hatred demon. Lord, I got a jealousy demon. I'm jealous of my brother. Lord, take it away. You gotta, hey, the Lord know. He see right through you. He know everything you're dealing with. So you gotta be real and you gotta come correct, or else you lying and you deceived and you just, hey, you hypocrite. You don't want to be like that. You know, you gotta let the Lord know, because He want to hear it out of your mouth. You know, He want to hear it out of your mouth. That's power of life and death in the tongue. So if either you want to live or you want to die. You know, so 1 John 3 and 22, and whatsoever we ask, we receive of Him, because we keep His commandments. You see that? And do those things that are pleasing in His sight. So we got to do the things that's pleasing in the Lord's sight. You know, like humble ourselves, be real with ourselves, you know, and stop, you know, deceiving ourselves and lying to ourselves, you know. So going back to this, Psalm 79 and 9, and it reads, help us, O Most High God of our salvation, for the glory of Thy name, and deliver us and purge away our sins for Thy name's sake. You see that? So that's literally what we got to ask for. Now let me go to Proverbs 16. Proverbs chapter 16. Proverbs chapter 16, and I'm going to start at verse 6, and it reads, by mercy and truth, iniquity is purged. So it's by mercy and truth, you know. So if you ain't had mercy on somebody else, why you think the Lord going to have mercy on you? You know, this is why it's important, to make amends with people that you did wrong to. You know, you spoke bad things. You know, you kind of slandered their business. You gotta apologize. You gotta ask. Go before them and make amends. You know, amend your ways. You know, cleanse your hands, ye sinners. You know, so you gotta come before the Most High in truth. You know, don't just go before the Most High only. Hey, if you did something wrong, you gotta clean that up. Go to the person that you did something wrong to, and you gotta clean it up. You know. And that way the Most High can have mercy on you. So reading this again, Proverbs 16 and 6. By mercy and truth, iniquity is purged. And by the fear of the Lord Yahweh, men depart from evil. So like we kicked the video off, the lesson off, fearing the Lord, you know. So you fear the Lord, you're going to depart from evil, you know. So let me get 2 Timothy 2. 2 Timothy chapter 2. And I'm going to start at verse 19. 2 Timothy chapter 2 verse 19. And it reads, nevertheless, the foundation of Most High God standeth sure. So you want to be on the foundation that standeth sure. Islam don't stand sure. The Christian church don't stand sure. You know, Buddhism, Catholics, you know, all of these other false religions don't stand sure. Yahweh Bashim Yahushua stands sure. You know, that's the rock you want to be built upon. You know. So reading this again, 2 Timothy chapter 2 verse 19. Nevertheless, the foundation of Most High God standeth sure, having this seal: the Lord knoweth them that are his, and let every one that nameth the name of Hamashiach depart from iniquity. So everyone that named the name of Hamashiach, hey, you got to depart from iniquity. You know. Verse 20, but in a great house there are not only vessels of gold and of silver, but also of wood and of earth, and some to honor and some to dishonor. So, hey, we want to be the ones that's on the side of honor, not dishonor. Verse 21, 2 Timothy 2 and 21, if a man therefore purge himself from these, he shall be a vessel unto honor, sanctified and meet for the master's use, and prepared unto every good work. So we want to be used for the Most High's good work, you know. So we got to purge ourselves of all of the wickedness, you know. And if you kind of got to sit down and examine and sit down and make a list and say, dang, you know, hey, you might find out that, hey, you do a lot of things off, you know. Verse 22, 2 Samuel 2 and 22. Flee also youthful lust. So this is some things that we got to keep in mind as well, which lust goes back to covetousness. You know, it's not just only you looking at a woman. It can be many things on many folds, you know. Flee also youthful lust, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace. So we should be following after righteousness, having faith, you know, because it ain't just things that you see. It's stuff that you may not even see. So you got to have faith and charity. So you got to hold on to, you know, giving time, teaching others, praying, fasting, building up others, you know, decreasing yourself, you know, peace. You got to follow after peace. You know, you can't always just look for fights and try to prolong fights with somebody. You know, you may not get along with your ex-wife or your ex-husband or your baby mama. You know, even though I don't like to use that word, but that's what the world knows. You know, you may not get along with them, but you got to follow after peace. You know, they arguing and trying to start arguments. You know. And you might just have to keep your mouth closed. You might just have to bite your tongue, you know, because you know, as soon as you open your mouth, you know, it's gonna be a full-blown rant, and you know, such things gotta be falling after peace, you know, because the Lord said in Matthew chapter 5, and verse, this is verse 9, Matthew chapter 5 verse 9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of Most High God. So, it's all type of altercations, but you want peace around, you know. So you gonna make things peaceable, you know. You get off the phone, kind of say, okay, all right, and you get away from there. Or if somebody else got some type of altercation, you the one trying to bring peace, you know. So that's what we should be following after: righteousness, faith, charity, and peace, with them that call on the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushua out of a pure heart. You see that? So that's what we need to be looking for. Now let me get Tobit and the Apocrypha. So going back to the Apocrypha, Let me get Tobit chapter 12. And I'm going to start at verse 9. Tobit chapter 12 and verse 9. And it reads, for alms do it deliver from death, and shall purge away all sin. So if you went a whole year where you ain't gave no alms, hey, you kind of got to reevaluate this thing, because the Most High is big on alms. You might have to cash out a congregation $10. Say, hey, don't do it off of trying to receive glorification. Trying to be known. Oh, that brother mighty, because he gave his brother some money, or he gave his sister some money, or he gave his congregation some money. Hey, let it be known between you and the Most High. But if you went a whole year and you ain't gave no alms, you kind of got to reevaluate yourself now. You got to repent from that. And you got to get that thing purged and start helping people towards the measurement that you can help, where you ain't causing hurt towards yourself as well. Because we living in the captivity where everybody dealing with hard times. So you may have to $5, $10. Hey, you might have to do what you got to do, but on the same scale, do it in righteousness. Don't just do it just to be seen, and don't just do it for no reason. Do it for the Lord. So Tobit 12 and 9. For alms do it deliver from death, and shall purge away all sin. Now that don't mean you send somebody alms and then you go commit adultery. That's wicked. Now the Lord spoke about that. Let me get that real quick. Just for you simple-minded and crafty, nasty, lustful, wicked doers. This is Sirach chapter 34. And I'm gonna start at verse. Matter of fact, this is Sirach chapter 35, and the Apocrypha Ecclesiasticus 35 and verse 2. He that required a good turn, offered fine flour, and he that giveth alms sacrificeth praise. To depart from wickedness is a thing pleasing to the Lord, and to forsake unrighteousness is a propitiation, which is a sacrifice. Now, going to Sirach 34, what I had called earlier. This is Sirach 34 and 24. When one prayeth and another curseth, whose voice will the Lord hear? He that washeth himself after the touching of a dead body, if he touch it again, what availeth his washing? So is it with a man that fasted for his sins, and doeth it again, and doeth the same, who will hear his prayer, or what doeth his humbling profit him? So on the same scale as giving alms, which is, on the same scale as you repenting and you having your sins forgiven, that don't mean you give alms and then you go commit a sin. That don't mean you give alms and then you go commit adultery. A man sleeping with another man's wife. And that don't mean after you've done that, you say, okay, I'm going to get some alms. The Lord going to forgive me. That ain't how this thing work. You got to abstain from trying to break the law, statutes, and commandments. You got to abstain from that, not doing it willfully, So this is when alms and charity profits you, You forsaking the flesh and the cares of this world, while also giving alms and charity, while also having faith and believing in the Most High Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. So going back to Tobit 12 and 9. For alms do it deliver from death, and shall purge away all sin. Those that exercise alms and righteousness shall be filled with life. See that? So those that exercise alms and righteousness. So let me get 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 7. 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 7, and it reads, purge out therefore the old leaven. And so what is leaven representing? It's representing sin. you know. So as we approach Passover, as we approach, you know, this new year coming into what the Lord has blessed us with, that he didn't have to give us, you know. The Lord didn't have to allow us to go through all 12 months of what we just came out of, and to be here, you know, this day and age and this time that we're dealing with, which all hell is breaking loose. Earthquakes is in New York. You got earthquakes all over the place. You know, you got blood moons. You got solar eclipses coming. You got World War III at the top-notch peak about to kick off. You know, you got to get the sin out. You know, you got to, or else you're going to perish. And the Lord going to purge you. I got to get the sin out. I got to purge, you know, myself, my house, you know, or the Lord is going to purge me. You know, any and everything we find, examine. You know, you kind of got the magnifying glass and you looking, you know, trying to see what's going on. You know, you looking under the couch, getting the leaven out. You looking behind the stove. You looking behind the microwave. You pulling the refrigerator out. You know, you opening up all of those deep, dark secrets and those dark, hidden spots that nobody knows about. Your brother don't know. Your congregation leaders don't know. You know, so you got to look and go through all of these tight spots and get all of these sins out. You know, 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 7, purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump. So a new year, a new everything, you know. So you want to get to the point where, you know, you increasing and not decreasing. You know, you bringing forth fruit. Galatians 5 and 22, you being long suffering. You know, you still waiting on the Lord to increase you. You know, you kind of ain't seeing nothing, but they don't mean that. You still holding on. You know, purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump, as ye are unleavened. For even Hamashiach, Christ, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. See that? So, you know, it's something to meditate on through the Spirit. So let's go to Sirach chapter 5. And I'm going to start at verse 5. Let's go back to the Apocrypha, Ecclesiasticus chapter 5 and verse 5. And it reads, concerning propitiation, be not without fear to add sin unto sin. So even like the beginning of the lesson, you know, we was talking about fearing the Lord, respecting and honoring the Lord, walking on eggshells. Anything that we feel like is off, or that is in our spirit telling us that we shouldn't be doing this, you know, hey, cut it off right then. You know, concerning propitiation, be not without fear to add sin unto sin, and say not, his mercy is great. So don't think within your mind like the Nicolaitans used to think, and like the Christian church think, and like all of these religions think, the Lord loves me. You know, he's my shepherd. You know, he's going to protect me. Don't think only with the Lord's mercy that you're going to be okay. You know, so you don't want to say this. And say not, his mercy is great. He will be pacified for the multitude of my sins. For mercy and wrath come from him, and his indignation rested upon sinners. Just like Amos chapter 9 and verse 10 says, you know, all the sinners of my people shall die by the sword. You know, and you're going to have many that say, you know, oh, the Lord is not going to destroy me. You know, and a lot of wicked doers like to say that, you know. So you don't want to be caught up in that day of judgment. Sirach 5 and 7, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day, for suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security. So you may be feeling like you secured with such things. You thinking your money gonna secure you. You thinking because this woman love you, or whatever you thinking, you know, that's gonna secure you. You thinking your job is gonna secure you. You know, you thinking just because you go to the gym and you work out, you got a good form, you got a good body, your heart good, your liver good, your kidneys good, you got a good back, you got good knees. You can't think that, you know. You don't want to think that just because you have such security that you're gonna be fine, you know. So hey, don't have this mindset, you know. don't have that mindset. And in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. You see that? So you don't want to perish in the day of vengeance. You want to purge all of the wickedness out, and you want to do things according to you cutting it down before the Lord cut you down. You know? So let me get Galatians chapter 2 real quick. Galatians chapter 2, and I'm going to start at verse 20. Galatians 2 and 20, and it reads, I am crucified with Hamashiach. Nevertheless, I live. So, hey, we're going to go through many things. You know, like 1 Peter 4 and 12 says, think it not that the fiery trial which is to try you. Don't think just because things happen to you, you know, you kind of living paycheck to paycheck. Hey, the Israelites, we in captivity. We was sent over here because we was rebelling against the Most High God. This ain't some world where we supposed to have it all good. You know, we not supposed to be living better than the other nations. This is their kingdom of heaven. We sent here to come back to the Lord, to repent and cleanse and cleanse ourselves, and wait patiently for the Lord to come back, while having faith and trusting in the Lord, while keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. You know, so all of the things that, you know, we're going through, the Lord, you know, got crucified. You know, so we get crucified here. You know, but we like to try to fight against that. Nah, I need a better car. I need a better house. I need a bigger car. I need a bigger house. I need more money. But this place going down. You know, this ain't no word and no room for us to try to be rich and wealthy. We supposed to have a mindset on we hate this place. You know, we hate everything that comes along with it. You know, but many ain't gonna have that mindset though. Many ain't gonna want to purge their iniquity out. They want to carry along with the freaking off with this world. So those are the ones that gonna be cut down. You know, because you only gonna have a remnant that's gonna make it out of here. You know, you only gonna have a remnant. You know, the Lord, he ain't gonna set a mark on every Israelite that was born on the face of the earth. And according to Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 3 on down, you know, the Lord isn't going to reserve every Israelite and keep them from getting destroyed in World War III. That's not how that's going to go down. You got many, their mind is made up. They don't want to serve the Lord. They don't want to keep the commandments. They're going to stay in their sins. And those are the ones that's going to get cut down. You know, Galatians 3 and 20, I am crucified with Hamashiach. Nevertheless, I live, yet not I, but Hamashiach liveth in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of Most High God, who loved me and gave himself for me. I do not frustrate the grace of Most High God. For if righteousness come by the law, then Hamashiach is dead in vain. So if it was just only you keeping the law, statutes, commandments, then that's what it's saying. Yahushua coming is vain. But it's not just only the law, statutes, and commandments. You know, it's you believing in the Lord. Even when times come when you ain't gonna be around others. You ain't gonna be able to hear Bible lessons. You know, you ain't gonna be able to hear, you know, cleanse your sins, purge all of the iniquity out. You ain't gonna be able to hear things like that. You may not even see another brother in World War III, Jacob's trouble, or a sister. You know, you may not have no food, but it's faith. You gotta have faith. 2 Esdras 9 and 7. You know, by your works and by faith whereby ye have believed, shall you be saved from the said perils that are to come. You know, so you got a lot of Old Testament onlys. You know, they don't even believe in the Messiah, Yahushua. And if they don't repent, it's lights out. You know, so Lord willing, that was edifying. Let's go to Esther chapter 3. It's a whole new year. It's the first month. So this is Esther chapter 3, and I'm gonna start at verse 7. Esther chapter 3 and verse 7, and it reads, in the first month, that is the month Nisan. So the first month of the year is Nisan, which according to, the calendar, as we know to be, as what the Lord gave us, and not mainly speaking about the world calendar, because they say they say sometimes they say one month it might be 28 days, next month it might be 31 days, and the next month might be 30 days. But according to the ancient calendar, what the Lord gave us, and what we can tell our time and our seasons and our days and our years by, we just approach the new year, which this is the time of Passover season. This is the time where the Lord came on the scene, where the time when it was springtime, when things is being sprout up, and so things come about during this time, during the beginning of the year, So reading this again, Esther chapter 3 verse 7, in the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of the king of Ahasuerus, they cast pur. Not going into that, but that's just what I wanted to get into, that first section of that verse, in the first month, So let me get first Esdras real quick. First Esdras, and I'm gonna go to chapter 5. First Esdras chapter 5, and I'm gonna start at verse 6, and it reads, and even so, like first Esdras chapter 5, like it. I'm gonna start at verse 6, and it reads, who spake wise sentences before Darius the king of Persia in the 2nd year of his reign, in the month Nisan, which is the first month. You see that? So this is the time of the beginning of the year. So let me get Exodus chapter 12, which is a new year for those that's keeping, what the Lord has gave the Israelites. Exodus chapter 12 and verse 1, and it reads, and the Lord Yahweh spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this month shall be unto you the beginnings of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. So the Lord set this thing up around Passover season, the beginning of the year, Let me get Leviticus chapter 23. Leviticus chapter 23, and I'm gonna start at verse 4. Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 4. Hey, the world, they change things. Matter of fact, let me get this in Daniel real quick. Through the spirit. It just popped on my spirit. Daniel chapter 7. Because this world, they say the new year is January. And the dead winter. Blizzard cold. That is not the new year. Daniel chapter 7 and verse 25. And it reads, and he shall speak great words against the Most High. And this he is really going into, the Edomites, Esau, the Romans, if you can understand. Daniel chapter 7 and verse 25. The Babylonians, if you can understand. The Greeks, Daniel 7 and 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. You see that? So they thought to change times according to what we now getting back to, but you still got some they ain't even found out yet, or they just knew to the point of finding out, So it's very important that the matter be discussed. Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 4, and it reads, these are the feasts of the Lord Yahweh, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. So the Lord, made seasons to be revealed and known, even though, we kind of lost our heritage and lost the understanding on how things was. The Lord is giving it back now, through the Spirit in these last days. This is Genesis chapter 1 and verse 14, and it reads, And Most High God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night. So you got lights in the heaven, you know, in the firmaments to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs. So you got the moon for signs. You got the sun for signs, you know. Let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. So, you know, we are literally dealing with the new moon, you know. So let me get this real quick. And the new moon, literally, that just goes back to new month, you know. And the first of the month, you know, which is our new year, you know. Not knocking anybody else that keep the lunar, you know, and they deal with such things like that, you know. But we keep the Friday night, Saturday night Sabbath. You got some, they keep the lunar, you know. You got many, you know. That's why Colossians chapter 2 talks about those judged based on the Sabbath and the new moon. And that's just going into, this is a rehearsing until we get to the actual, and the Lord gives us things back, you know. But he just giving us enough to be able to worship him in spirit and truth, you know. And that's just not knocking nobody else that keep things different, you know, because you gotta keep the Sabbath, gotta keep the new moon, you know. But you got many that just they times and seasons and months, you know, according to their feast, and how they keep the feast of the Lord is different. But Judges 5:11 says, you know, in the place of drawing waters. So wherever we was carried captive and wherever we carried captive at, there we were going to rehearse the righteous acts, you know. So we rehearsing the things that the Lord commanded us to do, as long as you're doing them, you know. But if you're not doing them, hey, you going off, you know, because you got a full moon, you got a half moon, you got the crescent, you got the waning, you got the waxing, you know. And this world like to call things a blue moon, you know, with different words. But let me get this in Sirach chapter 43, you know. Sirach chapter 43, and I'm gonna start at verse 6. Sirach chapter 43 and verse 6. But new moon, it just means a new month. Sirach 43 and verse 6. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. You see that? So like we read in Genesis 1, you know, the Lord, we didn't have watches. We didn't have the internet in those days. We didn't have any type of technology. So we was able to have certain things through the spirit. And even Issachar, you know, had certain things according to their lot, how the Lord gave them, you know, because like the Lord gave the Judites the law. When you read Exodus, it's like when you read Genesis the 49, Judah's the lawgiver, and the Lord also set Issachar up to be able to calculate, you know, what the days and the months and the season was, you know, just right off the grip. That's what the Lord bestowed upon them. And those things we're going to get back in the kingdom, Lord willing. You know, the hope for the elect will get that back in the kingdom, you know, and things will be put in their inward parts, and they will be able to tell things without a watch, without a clock, and things like that. So Sirach 43 and 6, he made the moon also to serve her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. From the moon is the sign of feast, you know, and those feasts, Passover, unleavened bread, you know, Sabbath, you know, not saying that Sabbath is a feast, but just to rightfully keep it in context what it's talking about, you know. Even though we know the Sabbath, no working, no buying, no selling, no cooking, no cleaning, no having sex, no doing our own pleasures and things like that. From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. So everything starts in the darkness. As soon as you read Genesis 1, you see things coming in darkness, you know. So the light decreasing in her perfection. The new moon is when you really can't see it, you know. Verse 8, Sirach 43 and 8. The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. the beauty of heaven, the glory of the stars, and ornament giving light in the highest places of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shah. You see that? So, you know, Lord willing, you keeping this to the best of your ability. I believe that's everything that I want to touch on. Let me get this in Psalms 104. I believe that's everything that I wanted to touch on. This is Psalms 104 and verse 19. Psalms 104 verse 19. He appointed the moon for seasons. The sun knoweth his going down. Thou makest darkness, and it is night, wherein all the beasts of the forest do creep forth. So that's it on that. So the Lord allowed these things to be for signs and for seasons. So through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shah, I think I left my shofar in there. Let me get it. Slack. Like, Lord willing, you got you a shofar. You about to go ahead and blow it real quick through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shah. This is Numbers chapter 10 and verse 10, and it reads, also in the day of your gladness and in your solemn days. So you should be in the spirit of being glad. This is a new year. This is a new month. You know, the Lord has bestowed mercy and grace upon me, upon you, and the rest of the nation to be able to witness the things that we're witnessing, and even, Lord willing, witnessing things for the rest of this year to come through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shah, and through prophecy, and through watching and taking heed. So, you know, this is a time to be glad. Numbers 10 and 10. Also in the day of your gladness and in your solemn days and in the beginnings of your months, ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your most high God. I am the Lord Yahweh, your most high God. And now Romans 12 and 2, you know, even though we're not doing animal sacrifices, we present our body a living sacrifice. Romans chapter 12 and verse 1, and it reads, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of most high God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto the most high God, which is a reasonable service. So this is Psalm chapter 81 and verse 3. Lord willing, you keep this day to the best of your ability. Psalm chapter 81 and verse 3, and it reads, blow up the trumpet in the new moon, and the time appointed on a solemn feast day. For this was a statute for Israel and a law of the Most High God of Jacob. Peace and blessing to you. Lord willing, this was edifying to you. Continue to forsake the flesh and the cares of this world. Prepare for the Passover. Purge all of the sins and the wickedness out. Continue to read, pray. Lord willing, after the new moon, continue to fast and continue to do all things that you possibly can to be blameless and without spot and blemish to the best of your ability. Fisherman for Zion. Peace and blessing to you. Happy New Year. Happy New Moon. All glory and honor to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, by Shem Yahweh Shah, Yahweh in the name of his Son, Yahweh Shah. Kwam Yashua.